You want to go Bosch?
Yeah, so this is kind of a man. When we started this podcast, I joked, what are we going to call this? There's a lot of controversy in today's show.
Oof.
There's a lot of I don't know, just stinkers, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It really is, man.
So why don't you go ahead and fill us in on?
Yeah, so Bosch, when you walk into an auto parts store, everybody knows, you got Bosch wipers. They're brands on just about everything automotive, but they're heavy into electronics, batteries. They manufacture batteries, or in that realm, I should say, or were becoming to be or wanting to be a big player, but they've decided to kind of walk away from that, and which I find interesting because they're like one of the number one producers of the electric motor for EVs.
So now when I think of Bosch, now this is a German company, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct, yes. Mm-hmm.
I really see them as, now I don't know if this is intentional on their part or not. They are another Denso. Now, you know who Denso is.
Absolutely.
For those of you that don't know who Denso is a huge Japanese components manufacturer. They make a lot of parts for Toyota. Go ahead, Jay.
Bosch in Germany is to Denso in Asia.
Yep.
Denso
made cell phones for Sprint for a while. We looked at dishwashers a while back. If you live in the Midwest, we looked at dishwashers. And
I've got Bosch appliances here.
They make appliances. Yep. To your point of making electronics.
Yeah.
They are a major components manufacturer, and
absolutely.
And so they've got electronics experience for sure, right? But you look at what this guy is. What did he say, Jay? Can you find the statement?
Yeah, absolutely. So and this is really no different than Toyota's CEO just said the same thing. And the bottom line is that
this is Bosch's chairman.
Right. Everyone knows that even electric cars in the German and European electricity mix, contrary to what is often claimed, are not climate neutral. So the bottom line is the vehicles would be, the vehicles would be treated as zero CO2 vehicles because the generation of the charging current would be hidden. In addition, the manufacturer of the batteries consumes a lot of electricity. In Asia, a very high proportion of this still generated with coal-fired power plants. Fehrenbach thinks that these emissions are missing from the information on CO2 consumption. That's controversial. That's a controversial statement.
Let's look at, there's a couple different things here that I want to pick apart. Now, you and I may not agree on this first one. I will say this. What he is saying there, we on this program have pointed to before. We have a podcast that we did. We have a video on YouTube where your electricity comes from. We took a map of the United States. We broke it down state by state. We called out some of the big states. And, there's a percentage. Some of them, like I think Washington was it almost 50% hydroelectric?
Hydroelectric, yeah.
Okay, but so this guy's point is, and it's a valid point.
It is.
That electricity does not necessarily always come from solar power or hydroelectric power or
correct
something that doesn't produce carbon emissions. So for all you EV manufacturers out there, and Gavin Newsom's the easy target where, the governor of the state of California declared, we're just going to go all EV by 2035, Jay?
Right. Yeah,
and then we just high-five each other and, walk away and call ourselves, friends of the environment. Not necessarily. It depends on where you're getting that electricity.
Some of it does.
Can be coal. Some of it's is natural gas powered, right? So
that's right.
The point this guy's making is you can't just go, well, we're climate free. We're, carbon free. We're high five, everybody. Good job. Mission accomplished. Nope. Depends on where you are getting your electricity. I'm not smart enough to really know beyond that, but I know there's some truth to that. The other thing that I wanted to go at here, which you pointed to, Jay, is so the guy then just says, we're not doing EVs.
Right.
Excuse me?
We're not. Yeah, we're just not going to work on the. We're going to bail on the battery technology. We're not going to go there.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's a
why?
mistake.
Because it's not trending?
Well, he's basically, he is, the way I read it, the way I understood it, he is saying that this is maybe a pipe dream that we invest all this money and our energy into developing these batteries for all the wrong reasons, because it's still not going to be emission free.
I could be right.
Yeah, right. And I get that. And I don't disagree with that. But you have to get there. We are not there yet to be completely emission free.
Okay, so you mentioned Toyota. Now we think, and man, I've got so much to say about Toyota, and I hope we get to this in a future podcast, because there's some stuff going on in that organization right now that is it's a real head scratcher. But
it is.
We think, and again, we have mentioned this on this program, we think Toyota is playing the long game. So they're not going all in on EVs because they might be looking at a Gen 3 scenario with solid-state EVs or an alternative fuel like hydrogen or something like that. We don't know, but to just assume that Toyota is going to go, yeah, we're not getting into the EV world, that's not necessarily an accurate statement.
No, it's not. I mean, they've dabbled into the hybrid, the plug-in hybrid stuff.
Yep.
And that's not... I think, and I agree with you. I think Toyota's playing the long game. I don't think we've seen the reveal as to what they're behind. I think that's coming soon.
But see, who knows, man? Because then they roll the Supra out, and it's basically a product made by BMW. I just don't know what they're thinking. But I digress. If you want to check out some of that previous conversation where we talk about Toyota, and was it the Dyson episode where we talked a little bit about
it was the Dyson episode. Good memory, pal.
If you're watching this on. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. You can then you'll be alerted every time we release one. Check out our channel. What is it? YouTube.com/Parts Counter Gurus, Jay?
You got it, friend.
And
you got it.
You can find all that info. And then our podcast, you can also find every episode on our website at partscountergurus.com. So there you go.
That's it. Yeah. Sign up.
So do you think this, the chairman of Bosch, do you think that he is there? Here's what I think. Maybe he's not saying we're done, right? I think maybe he's saying we're just not going to do first or second generation battery technology for these EVs.
I think so. Look, they're very capable of doing what they're doing. Maybe, they know something we don't know. Maybe there's somebody with a new technology out there.
I think
that
that's
just
it.
That they're just kind of waiting.
Say that again. We need to, so that I don't have to wind it back.
New technology.
No,
there's someone out there with new.
They know something we don't know.
Oh, well, of course, yeah. They know something we don't know.
There you go.
And what we're here to do is to try to find that out and get to the bottom of it. So you do know and we do know. But right now, as it stands, I don't know what the motivation is behind his comments and the move that they're making, because they are heavy. They are a heavy supplier to the original equipment manufacturers, OEMs.
Yeah. Internal combustion.
Internal combustion. Electronics, period. It doesn't have to be an internal combustion engine. Electronics, period. They are heavy into that, man. So
here's what he's not doing. He's not saying, we think we're just moving on from that. We're not going to service that industry anymore. That's not the play.
Not it. It's just one small sector of what they do that they've decided to kind of take their resources and go elsewhere with it for the time being. Now, does that mean that there's a third party out there working on this stuff that they're kind of like, funding that we don't know about?
Well, they've bought. What was their purchase recently that tied them into some of this? I'm talking about on the EV technology. There was an acquisition.
Seeo, SEEO is the name of the company.
Yes.
Seeo Inc.
Yeah.
They were a solid-state battery startup.
There you go.
Yeah, and that was in 2017, but then it just totally, abandoned that, apparently. So here's what the statement says. In 2017, Bosch, they bought the solid-state battery startup Seeo Inc., which is SEEO, and has been sparsely revealing details about its plan to bring new battery technologies to market by 2020 with a 50 kilowatt per hour battery pack weighing only 190 kilograms, but it never committed resources to start producing cells. Later that year, the company confirmed that it was considering a 20 billion pound, 20 pounds, is that correct? Or
you're talking about the currency, yes.
Or euro, excuse me, euro.
Yeah.
20 billion euro investment to create 200 gigawatts of battery cell production capacity by 2030. The move would have brought them to the same level or even higher than battery manufacturers like Panasonic, LG Chem, Samsung, and CATL. However, Bosch announced in 2018 that it will not go through with the plan, and instead it even completely divested from its battery cell production assets, stating that it was too risky. Wow. How is that? How is it too risky? I mean, somebody is developing this stuff.
Yep.
Somebody has the technology, or else GM, Ford, all these manufacturers.
Same decision Dyson made.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Stepped out of it and went. I'm taking my dump trucks full of money and we're leaving.
Yep. So this will be interesting. What do you think? What are your thoughts behind that? Do you think that there's, is there a merger coming that we're not aware of? Is there a new technology that's just on the horizon that we're not aware of?
I think they're playing the long game. I think they've got insight into some things that we don't. Like, look, in 2007, they were talking solid-state batteries. That's way ahead of the Tesla phenomenon, right? So
that's right, yeah.
They're probably continuing that, and they are peeling back layers of the technological onion, so to speak, and they're into something right now that they think is going to be a game changer.
Right.
We will probably find out about that in the next year or two. That would be my guess. I think so, too.
Now, keep in mind that this... In 2018, late 2018, they kind of abandoned it. So this is pre-pandemic. So the pandemic, the COVID did not really have any bearing on this. This was a company decision.
And if anything, it gave them more time for R&D because they could just blame COVID for production delays, and they could continue to develop, right? Like research,
right. Or maybe they're making dishwashers now. That's it.
Almost bought one.
I've got one.
So
I've got the whole kitchen is Bosch appliances, man.
I like them, man. They're
Hey, Bosch CEO, can I get a hat?
That's awesome. You can find us at partscounterguru.com. Click on the Ask Us a Question tab at the top, and you can leave us a message. Or there is a Sponsor Us tab, Bosch, if you are so inclined, and
we would be glad to have your banner up on our.
We have a parking spot open in that garage right now, so to speak.
Absolutely.